Hello, and welcome to Late to School. I'm Lorena.
And I'm Zach. And it's a Flip Flappers Watchcast.
God damn it. Fucking God. It's fine. We'll do it live. That's how that line goes, right?
Right, yeah.
Before we start, I wanted to say something.
Uh-huh.
I found Cocona and Papika's birthdays.
Oh, okay, cool.
I couldn't find anyone else.
That's true.
Cocona and Papika were both born August 17th.
Okay.
They have the same birthday.
Huh, okay. Which means they're the same star sign, which is weird.
Yeah, I don't
about.
know what star sign that is exactly.
Do you want me to look it up?
Sure, why not?
They are both Leos.
Okay. I could see Papika as a Leo.
Yeah.
I don't know about Cocona.
Yeah, Cocona strikes me as more Virgo-esque, but...
That's fair, yeah.
That might just be because she looks kind of like Ami.
Yeah, okay. Our first episode this week is episode 6, Pure Play. First aired November 10th, 2016. Is directed, as always, by Kiyotaka Oshiyama, and additionally, Hiroshi Ikehata. It was written, again, as always, by Yuniko Ayano.
With a title like Pure Play, it's got to be a fun episode.
Oh yeah, this episode's real fun.
It's real, enjoyable.
It's a real breezy episode. Just a break.
So the episode opens at Flip Flap on Hideka doing some bullshit.
He's sort of experimenting, it seems, or doing some repairs to Boo.
If it's repairs, he's very excited for repairs because he is laughing maniacally.
Yeah.
I could understand that if it's an experiment.
Yeah,
but
he also has Boo's lid open, and we can see his brain.
Yes. I think he's taken his brain out, actually. I think it's, in a tube.
Oh, okay.
And it's got fucking wires hooked up to it and shit. So yeah, he's doing something to Boo.
Yeah.
And then we sort of cut outside where Sayuri is just trying to ignore his cackling. And then we see Salt placing the shard, a newly recovered shard, in a little box. Which is... it's a little padded box, much like Kunzite used to store the 7 rainbow crystals.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you put gems in.
I guess that's true. I feel like I've just seen this kind of box in a lot of anime.
Yeah.
And not a lot of other media. Because also, like Pokemon, you put the little badges in there.
I guess. Yeah.
And we see Papika and Cocona, and Papika is very happy that she's like, wahoo, that makes 3! So off screen we got another,
did we get it off screen? I can't remember the count.
I can't remember. There's so many shards.
It's also unclear because I think Cocona is holding on to one.
Yeah, she's also holding one, so... And, Cocona asks a very valid question here, which is, how many more do we need to collect? And Papika thinks for a sec, and is just like, a bunch? And Cocona is not satisfied with that answer.
No.
But, then Salt interrupts from his fucking high room, from his loft. That's not what a loft is, but, you know.
It's a high room that has, a balcony where you can look down on the lower rooms. Apparently all of the lower rooms in this entire underground base.
Salt wants to, first of all, likes being tall. Second of all, wants to constantly be looking down on everyone else.
Yeah,
And designed his fucking studio, his laboratory, around that concept.
Yeah,
and Salt asks Cocona if knowing would make her more effective. And Cocona says, well, it would make me feel more prepared. which is a valid answer to that question.
Yeah,
But Salt is... he was not prepared for a valid answer to that question, and just sort of set up Cocona for failure.
Mm-hmm.
And just says that he wants every single shard in pure illusion.
Mm-hmm.
And Cocona is upset and just sort of leaves in a huff.
Yeah.
In a tizzy? Is that a...
I guess? Is that what a tizzy is?
Feel like.
Okay.
And then we cut. I think this is where we get the opening sequence.
And then when we come back, Cocona's on the boat.
Yep. And the girl, lady, person says, "Welcome home." And she wakes up. And her grandma wheels in to her room and asks if she had another bad dream, and she says that she's been having the same dream. And Grandma asks Cocona what kind of dream it is, and Cocona says she forgot. I can't remember if that's a lie or not.
It's not clear in the episode even,
okay.
I think.
You don't think it's not framed as either one?
Yeah.
Okay. But Grandma says that recurring dreams can be a sign of stress, and that if she's feeling stressed out, Cocona should talk to her. Mm-hmm. And it's nice.
Yeah.
I like Grandma. And then we cut to school. Cocona and Papika are standing together outside the door to the art room. Mm-hmm. And Cocona is like, I don't know, I don't know if we should bother her. But Papika is like, nah, it's cool, because we got
sweets.
Yeah. And Cocona is about to retaliate to that. Papika does hold up like a little bag.
Mm-hmm. They have cookies, not candy.
They have candy, yeah. And Cocona is about to retaliate when Senpai is here already. Uh-huh. And she's like, "You got a poison apple or something?" Which is a hell of a line to say. And Cocona just jumps, I think. Mm-hmm. And Papika proudly holds up her bag of cookies and says that they made them for her.
Yeah.
And it's cute. Mm-hmm. And then they hang out in the art room. Mm-hmm.
Senpai makes some tea.
Yeah, as she is wont to do.
I think Cocona looks at, like, a painting, or we at least see a painting and see that it is signed Iridori.
Yes. So that's our first, we now know a name of Senpai, at least. And we don't see Papika yet, which is important. No.
Senpai holds up a cookie and is like, "It kind of looks like barnacles."
Yeah.
And Cocona is like, "Oh, I made those. The ones Papika made are fine, though." Uh-huh.
We do see the bag, and we see just, split down the middle, pretty much. One half of the bag of cookies is they just look like normal cookies, and the other ones are just really crumbly and, lumpy.
But Senpai is like, I don't care.
Yeah.
And eats the barnacle cookie.
Senpai don't give a shit.
And says that it's sweet. And goes great with tea.
Yeah. And Cocona's very excited.
Mm-hmm. And then we see Papika.
Yes, who is standing outside of the room, holding her nose. Mm-hmm. Because her poor little fucking bloodhound senses have been overwhelmed. Cocona tries to, get her to come inside, but Papika is like, "No, it smells bad." And Senpai suggests that she smells the nail polish.
Mm-hmm. And Papika is like, "Colonel, nail polish?"
And Senpai then says, "Nail." Mm-hmm. Like that was the question. I don't know why she did that.
Maybe there's no Japanese word for nail polish? I don't know.
Maybe?
And then
maybe it is a translation thing.
Senpai says that she uses it on her paintings. Mm-hmm. And Cocona is surprised that you can do that, and so am I.
Yeah, I think I've heard of that. I think I've heard of people.
I mean, it makes sense. That. People will use a lot of things that you're not supposed to use to paint.
That isn't intended for painting.
Right. And then Senpai says that, she says, "Yep, I never get to use it on my nails, though. I don't deserve to do that." And then Papika rushes over and asks if she can paint her nails then.
Cocona, I think we do get a look at Cocona's face at, reacting to what Senpai just said, and she's definitely concerned.
Senpai says that Papika cannot paint her nails, and Papika just kind of whines and says, "It'll be fine." And then we cut to Flip Flap, and Papika is showing off her freshly painted nails.
Yeah. So I guess she did convince Senpai eventually.
Well...
Or maybe she got some other...
She did, because Cocona tells her they're still wet.
Oh, and so then... you figured Cocona painted her nails.
No. Sayuri shows up and says that they look pretty, and then looks at her nails for a second, and then immediately grabs Papika's hands and dunks them in a bucket of soapy water, telling her that oil paint is not easy to get off of nails. So Papika painted her nails with paint that was intended for a canvas.
Right. I don't think I understood that line.
Okay.
I was very confused. But that makes... yeah. I love that Sayuri can also just recognize immediately that it's oil paint.
Yeah,
She's just that good.
Yeah, she is just that good. There's a funny bit where water starts to get everywhere, and Hideka yells at Sayuri, and Boo tries to run away so that he doesn't get wet, and Cocona just looks annoyed.
And then... flip-flapping.
Flip-flapping.
We're flip-flapping. Just like that.
We get a transformation sequence.
Yeah.
Much shorter. With all the gross parts cut out.
Yeah, it's rad. There's another gross part later in the episode that I'm mad about, but...
Is there? I don't remember that.
Yeah.
Okay. I believe you.
So yeah, we're in Pure Illusion. And Cocona... Sorry?
The Pure Illusion is a very, abstract painting.
Yes,
looking...
I really like it. It's very pretty.
And Cocona and Papika are fighting a big spider monster with a lot of eyes.
It's like one big eye that has several eyes on it. And also spider legs.
Yeah, it's everything I hate. We can't really describe the fight scene. They fight it, Papika lands on top of it and just fucking obliterates it.
It's cool. Is it Papika or is it Cocona?
I think it's Papika. Because she has her,
right, yeah.
reflector panels on her back.
Again, the hair thing, I get mixed up.
They beat it, and then it explodes, and a shard comes out.
Yeah.
But then someone else appears and grabs it, and it's Yayaka. And she's with the twins. And they kind of quip at her. I think the boy is like, "That's not fair." And the girl is like, "Nope."
Yeah, so they're fine with kill stealing, but if you don't hit the final blow, you are not allowed to take the loot.
And Papika...
Well, I mean, you're allowed because they're fine with Yayaka taking it. They're just like, hey, that's not fair.
Papika yells at them, and then Yayaka is like, well, what are you gonna do about it, huh?
And then Papika just attacks her. And... Yayaka tries to run.
She runs up the side of a wall.
Yeah. It's another cool
fight scene
that is hard to describe. But the part that is easy to describe is the part near the end where Papika grabs Yayaka and starts tickling her. And then just they both fall into a bubble.
Yeah, it looks like one of the bubbles that Papika makes, but I don't know when she did that.
Yeah.
Papika, bounces away from Yayaka, and Cocona runs up to check on her, and then Papika is like, hey, look, I got it! And she has the shard.
Yeah.
But then, we see in the air above her, the girl, just about to...
Fucking meteor smash.
Just fucking meteor smash. I don't think that's what that is, but...
Papika. Well, she would have to be in the air for it to be a meteor smash, but it's the same,
She is like a meteor.
She is like a meteor, yes. The girl twin is.
And Cocona pushes Papika out of the way, and the girl sort of smashes the ground instead. And opens up a fucking yawning black chasm that...
Love a yawning black chasm.
The two of them and Boo fall into.
Yeah. The twin girl stays up.
Yeah.
And their team Asclepius
Is there no
Yayaka's team.
Yayaka's team.
I can't remember how the fuck to pronounce it or spell it. Sort of reconvenes at the mouth of this yawning black chasm.
Mm-hmm.
Chasm?
No.
Chasm?
Absolutely not chasm. God. I'm sick.
The girl chastises Yayaka in the name of Mars and asks if she got lazy.
Mm-hmm.
And Yayaka is like, no, maybe. And it's really funny.
Uh-huh.
It's like a really cute characterization moment for Yayaka.
Mm-hmm.
And then they run off to follow Cocona and Papika.
Mm-hmm. And as they're, like, looking for them, the boy is like, Yayaka, you should transform. And Yayaka asks why he doesn't transform.
Yeah.
And that's just interesting.
That's an interesting thing. And they do say try to transform.
Right, yes.
So that's interesting. And then we cut back to the others.
Mm-hmm.
Cocona is looking for Papika in this cave thing. Looking for Papika and Boo. Who gives a shit about Boo, though?
Just leave Boo behind.
I guess what do they need him for? What's he do?
He can open portals sometimes?
Sometimes. I feel like not all the time.
No.
And also they have the fucking, Thomason.
Yeah. Well, he can sometimes open portals out?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Why'd they give a special name to a fucking cabinet? I just thought of that.
It's a cabinet that helps lower the impedance and connect the hearts of two so that they feel as one.
It's made of wood.
Listen, it could be made of metal.
Sure.
Cocona spots Papika sort of down on the ground and sees that Papika is staring at, like, a rock with a rope tied around it.
Yeah, it's got a rope tied around it that, like, coils upward and, like, splits off into two ends.
Mm-hmm.
It's a weird shape. A very distinctive shape.
And Cocona runs over and asks Papika what she's doing, and Papika just kind of taps on the rock and says, "It's a rock."
That's Papika.
And as they stare at it, the ground starts to shake, and a, like, stone archway emerges. And
what's the meaning of Stonehenge?
Great. And, like, a portal opens up.
In the Stonehenge
In the Stonehenge arch. Then Yayaka and the twins catch up. They're on sort of a higher level, looking down.
I do want to point out, this portal is like a swirling mass of, like, black and red.
Yeah,
It's, so, evil colors. Dangerous, obviously.
And Yayaka asks, "What's that? Is that a hole?" And the boy scans it and says that there are no coordinates. And then Yayaka...
Just a series of nonsense.
And a sort of a look of realization washes over Yayaka's face, and she yells down at Papika and Cocona not to touch it. But Papika and Cocona are already touching it, and they both are sort of consumed.
Yep.
And they fall through a, like, again, like, black and red vortex.
Boo too, also.
Boo is also here,
sucked in.
But who gives a shit? And they're both, like, sort of silhouetted.
Yeah.
And then they slowly fill in with color. Papika turns, like, bright blue, and Cocona turns orange. And they try to keep hold of each other, but they lose their grip, and both fall into the hole.
They've been separated. Like they said they wouldn't. So that's fucked.
And then Cocona is sitting outside a house, crying.
Yes.
She is a baby. She's a little girl now.
She's got brown hair, which is
I think that's just the color.
It could be the
because
sort of
there's
sepia
like
tone of
there's an orange hue over this sort of scene.
It could be. It doesn't look like that's what blue would look like under that color.
Okay,
but
it did
I could
to me.
I could be wrong. But yeah, she's a little baby.
And she's crying. And an older woman walks up to the door and sees Cocona.
Mm-hmm.
And Cocona looks up and is like, Granny! And the old woman apologizes for being late and asks Cocona if she wants to go inside and have some snacks.
Yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong. Is Granny here voiced by the same person as Cocona's grandma?
Granny is, yes, actually.
Okay.
Which is interesting because I don't think they are in Japanese, but I could be wrong. Granny also...
I guess, spoiler, this is not Cocona's grandma.
No. Also, in Japanese, Cocona calls her auntie.
Okay.
But they changed it to Granny for the English dub because that's not really a thing people do in English. And we cut to them, like, making... I think we learned later that this is pancakes.
Yes. They're mixing stuff in a bowl.
Mm-hmm. And Granny, she refers to Cocona as Iro.
Yeah.
And says that she's doing a good job. And then she asks Cocona if she wants to pour the milk into the bowl. And Cocona tries, but spills, and apologizes to Granny. And Granny sort of smiles and says, it's okay if you make a mess, sometimes. She doesn't have that pause. She just says, it's okay if you make a mess sometimes.
Yeah.
And then later, we get... It's not really a montage, but it's just a series of scenes.
Mm-hmm. We see Cocona helping...
Granny in her garden.
Yeah.
She digs a hole and finds a worm in the dirt. And she's like, ew. But Granny corrects her and tells her that worms eat the mold and help the garden grow. Mm-hmm. And Cocona is immediately like, oh, cool. I love worms.
I mean, mood.
Yeah.
You know? I love a worm.
Mm-hmm.
And then we see them taking a bath together.
Mm-hmm.
And they play around, like, squirting water out of their hands, like, with the thing you do when you know?
Yeah.
I don't know how to describe that.
Yeah.
Actually, but, and it's, it's cute.
It's cute. And then Cocona's alone in the living room. She's drawing at the, coffee table. Mm-hmm. Or I guess tea table is what that would be.
Yeah, probably. Maybe it's both. Maybe Granny drinks coffee.
Yes, but I think that style of table is called a tea table.
Oh, okay.
Sort of low to the ground.
Right.
Then Granny appears and is like, oh, that looks great. But Cocona's embarrassed and tries to cover up her picture, which is a thing I relate to very strongly.
Yeah, that's fair. Same.
And Granny asks why she's hiding it. And Cocona responds, because it's strange. That's what Mommy and Daddy told me. They told me to draw like normal.
That line fucks me up. Mm-hmm. That's such a sad line.
Mm-hmm. And Granny is, I don't know if appalled might be too strong.
Yeah,
but
she's upset.
She's definitely upset.
Concerned.
And she says that she thought Cocona's drawing looked perfectly nice. And Cocona sort of hesitantly lifts her hands up and uncovers her drawing. Mm-hmm. And, pushes it over to Granny, who is sitting on the other end of the tea table now. And it's a picture of them in the bath together.
Yeah, where they're squirting the water.
Yeah, it's pretty cute.
Yeah.
And Granny says, it's a little strange to draw something like that. In a good way. I think it's very creative.
Uh-huh.
And then she gets up and, walks over to a wall that has a bunch of pictures on it. Mm-hmm. And she tells Cocona that she used to be a school teacher.
Yeah.
Until she had to retire. And since then, she's lived alone. The only one left of her, I think she says school friends.
Yeah.
And we see a note from her class that says, thank you, Mrs. Yuki. Mm-hmm. And then she turns to Cocona and asks, what about me, dear? Do you find me strange? And Cocona is like, mm-mm.
Yeah. I love that you did shake your head.
Uh-huh. As if anyone could see it.
Yeah.
And Granny goes on and says, exactly. Just because someone calls you strange doesn't mean it's true. I like your drawing just the way it is. And Cocona is, overjoyed. Mm-hmm. And stands up and hands her drawing to Granny and says, here, for you. Mm-hmm.
Cocona, the baby Cocona voice acting is absolutely fantastic.
It's amazing. And Granny is very happy and takes the drawing. And then the clock starts to tone. I wrote ring, but that's not right.
Sure. I guess tone is...
I don't know what the word is.
You ring a bell? Chime. Intonate.
I don't think that's right.
Announce.
The clock starts to announce. And Granny says that it's time to get Cocona home, or her parents will worry.
The clock foretells.
And Cocona is sad, but says okay. And then Granny is once again like, I'm worried.
Uh-huh.
And she hugs Cocona and is like, oh, you're so adorable. How could your parents not worry about you?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't understand what this is. She apparently hugs Cocona a little too tight, and Cocona is like, it kind of hurt. And Granny apologizes and tells Iro to come back soon.
Mm-hmm. It's just a grandma thing.
Yeah.
You hug too tight sometimes.
Yeah. There might be other reasons Grandma would hug Cocona too tight.
Granny.
Sorry,
Grandma
Granny.
is a different character.
Grandma is a different character.
And then we cut to another day.
Mm-hmm.
And Cocona is running happily to Granny's house. And she sort of flings open the door. And we hear Granny telling her to come in.
Mm-hmm.
And she sees Granny sitting at the table looking at her hands.
Mm-hmm.
And Cocona is like, are you hurt?
Uh-huh.
And Granny is like, no. And she holds up her hands, and she's painted her nails.
Mm-hmm. And she asks if Cocona likes them.
Uh-huh. And Cocona is in awe.
Mm-hmm.
And says that she wants to try. But Granny says maybe when she's bigger.
Uh-huh. And then Cocona sees that her drawing is hung up on Granny's, like, I guess window?
Yeah.
We can see outside from it, so I think it's a window.
Yeah.
And she puts down her backpack and pulls out a, sheaf of paper and hands it to Granny. And we see the top page is a drawing of Cocona and Granny making pancakes.
Yeah.
It's labeled City Newspaper.
Yeah. For some reason.
I think, well, it's clearly a zine. It's a zine that it's a zine that Cocona made for Granny.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Coconut Euro.
Coconut Euro.
And Granny is surprised and happy. And Cocona says it's for her. Mm-hmm. And Granny is touched and thanks her for the gift. And then we cut to them walking down the street together. Mm-hmm. And Cocona is singing happily. There's actually a little translator note where it says she's singing the first line of a Japanese folk song called Red Dragonfly, I think. Yeah. And we see a red dragonfly also.
Yes.
And they pass by two other women and wish them a good afternoon. And then the two women, we see them whisper something to each other as they walk past. Mm-hmm. But we don't hear it.
No. And then Granny asks if it's time to get Iro home. Mm-hmm. And Cocona is like, no, not yet. And Granny is, I think, once again concerned.
Yeah.
And she leans down and says that they can take the long way home. Uh-huh. And Cocona smiles and is like, okay.
I love how she's immediately like, okay. Mm-hmm. That's fine.
And they get to Iro's home, and they ring the doorbell, but no one answers. Mm-hmm. And Granny is like, well, I guess they're not back yet. Mm-hmm. You want to go back to Granny's house? And Cocona's really into that plan.
Yeah, of course.
And Granny turns and starts walking away. But Cocona notices the door opening slightly. Mm-hmm. And she goes inside, immediately forgetting about Granny, apparently.
Yeah.
And the inside of the house is deep blue.
Yeah.
And dark.
The colors have decidedly changed in this scene.
And Cocona calls out that she's home. And she calls for her mom and dad, but no one answers. Mm-hmm. And she goes upstairs and stops in front of a door that has a little light leaking from the bottom. Mm-hmm. And she hesitantly pushes it open and sees Papika.
Yep. We see baby Papika.
Baby Papika, who is huddled over a piece of paper drawing, surrounded by a ton of other drawings on the floor. Mm-hmm.
I think there's nothing else in this room. Also,
there's nothing else in this room. I think we see the drawings and they don't look the same. They look like she's just drawing shapes.
Yeah.
And Papika sort of sits up and taps her pencil on her chin.
Mm-hmm.
And Cocona just says, Iro, and accidentally draws Papika's attention.
Mm-hmm.
Papika immediately, rushes over at Cocona, and Cocona tries to run away, but Papika grabs her before she can get away.
Mm-hmm.
And Papika yells, "Not yet! Come here, Iro! I want to go! Switch with me!" And she drags Cocona into the room, and we then, cut to Cocona in the same position that Papika was in.
Yep. So, they both called each other Iro.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All that happened.
Yep.
And then, Cocona, in that position, she sits up and is satisfied with her drawing.
Mm-hmm.
And she takes it and opens the door of this room, and it now leads, instead of into that, balcony hallway thing, it now leads into a dark red room.
Uh-huh.
Where we hear her mother and father arguing.
Mm-hmm.
And she tries to get their attention, but her father turns and snaps at her to go back to her room.
Yeah, I would describe his movement as undulating.
Yes, both of them
Mm-hmm.
have... they are not drawn in the same style as
No.
anything else in the episode in this scene. They are gross
Uh-huh.
and uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm. And he tells her to go back to her room.
Mm-hmm. And Cocona tries to protest, but then her mother demands to know if she did her homework,
Mm-hmm.
and says, "If you don't study, you'll end up like this idiot," and points to, to Dad.
Her dad.
And then they argue more,
Mm-hmm.
and Cocona is very upset and runs away. And she runs outside, and everything is still blue,
Mm-hmm.
and dark, and weird. And she calls out for Granny, and she starts climbing a wall into Granny's yard, I guess?
I guess.
We don't see this wall again, I don't think.
No.
But then she sees Papika, who I think has a wheelbarrow or a...
She has a wagon that looks like Boo.
Oh, does it?
Yeah.
I didn't realize it looked like Boo.
Mm-hmm.
That's a neat little touch. I was wondering where Boo was in all this, since he also fell into the vortex.
Uh-huh.
But I guess he's a wagon now.
Mm-hmm. And Cocona asks Iro to switch with her.
Mm-hmm.
But Papika Iro just says, "I'm Iro." And Cocona gets mad and yells that no, she's Iro.
Mm-hmm.
And she grabs Papika's arm and pulls her down over the wall. And they both fall. And then emerge back outside.
Yep.
And they sort of tumble into another, one of Papika's bubbles, I guess.
We're back outside of the stone archway.
Yeah.
The Stonehenge.
And I think we see the shard fall from their pocket or something.
Mm-hmm. They're also teenagers again. Mm-hmm. They're not little kids anymore.
And transformed.
Yes.
And Yayaka is standing over them. And she's like, "Hey, what the fuck happened? What just happened?"
Uh-huh.
And Papika is like, "Well, I was Iro." And then Cocona interrupts and is like, "No, I was Iro." Iro? Iro.
And Yayaka is just like, "What the fuck?"
Let's go. They're hurting my brain.
Uh-huh.
And the twins nod, and Papika notices that they have the shard.
Mm-hmm.
And calls out to them to, hey, stop, hey, that's ours. But they disappear through one of the boys' portals.
Yep.
And then Papika is sad.
Mm-hmm.
And is like, well, should we just go home? But Cocona is like, you and I were both Iro back there. And Papika is like, yeah, but who's Iro? And Cocona says, I'm not certain, but it is curious.
Yeah.
Papika asks if Cocona wants to go back, and Cocona is like, can we? To which Papika responds, well, I still haven't gotten a chance to eat Granny's pancakes.
So of course they gotta go back. And yeah, they stand in front of the archway together, and Papika says, let's find out who we were.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a great line.
Mm-hmm.
And then the portal envelops them.
Mm-hmm.
And meanwhile,
we see Boo,
who is still stuck in a little bubble.
Yeah. And his eye displays the character for danger.
Yep. Will Robinson.
What? No, why?
What?
Why?
Why? What?
Why would you do that to me?
Why? What?
On our show?
What?
You would reference Lost in Space?
What's wrong with reference? He's a robot, and he's complaining. He's worried about danger.
Mm-hmm. Actually, you're gonna make some fucking Star Trek references, you fucking nerd.
I'm not gonna make a Star Trek reference. Star Trek isn't funny.
Okay. Cocona arrives at Granny's house.
Yep.
She's a little girl again.
Mm-hmm.
The color is also, like, orange. Again.
Mm-hmm. Hey, blue and orange.
Yeah, And Cocona calls out for Granny, but doesn't get a response.
Mm-hmm.
And we see Granny just sort of sitting in the living room in front of, like, a shelf or a bookcase.
Mm-hmm.
And she's clearly looking for something. And Cocona sees her and is like, "Hey, Granny!" And Granny turns and is like, "Oh, Eero!"
Mm-hmm.
And Cocona asks her what she's looking for. And Granny says that she doesn't know where she put her makeup bag. And then Cocona looks slightly behind her and sees that it's on the table.
Yeah, like right behind Granny.
Mm-hmm. She proudly holds it up and is like, "Here it is. You always keep it over here." And Granny sort of like, she does the old lady thing where she touches her face and is like, "Oh, you're right as always. You know, Eero, sometimes you know Granny better than she knows herself."
Mm-hmm.
And then Granny opens her makeup bag and is like, "Here, Eero, give me your hand." And Cocona is excited.
Yeah.
And is like, "Oh, do I get to paint my nails?"
Mm-hmm.
And Granny says, "Just a little, as a thank you for helping." And she paints their nails.
Yeah.
And we see sort of a montage of Cocona spending time with Granny and having fun and being happy. It's sort of interspersed with Papika at home, being ignored by her parents and yelled at, I think specifically for having painted nails.
Mm-hmm. So that's weird.
Yeah.
Because she's not the one who got her nails painted.
No. And then we see Papika walking down the street, and she passes by some women who are gossiping.
Mm-hmm. As faceless women in anime are wont to do.
And they're gossiping about how that old woman, clearly referring to Granny, brought a child into her house. Mm-hmm. And she and that child, who is Eero, aren't even related.
Yeah. So there's a twist.
Mm-hmm.
Granny is not her biological granny.
Yeah. I don't know if it's meant to be a twist because, again, Cocona calls her auntie.
Right.
Which is, like, a very common thing to call, for children to call adults that they are close to but not related to.
Right, okay.
And one of them says that Granny never had kids, and the other wonders what'll happen when she dies. And then Papika just sort of stomps the ground in anger and glares at them, and then walks away.
Mm-hmm. I want to point out, these ladies don't seem to have a good idea of what's actually happening.
No.
Because she hasn't actually taken Poppy Coco. Yeah. What?
That's the ship name. Don't worry about it.
Oh, okay. Like, she still lives with her parents.
Yeah.
She just goes to Granny's sometimes.
Or maybe be better if Granny took her in, though.
Yeah, no, yeah, for sure.
And then we get, like, a sort of crossfade as Papika walks down the street, and then it, like, fades to later in the day, and the women are gone, and Papika is gone, and we see Granny and Cocona walking in the other direction. Mm-hmm. And Granny stops and asks Cocona to wait for just a second. And Cocona is like, "Oh, are you tired, Granny?"
She's sort of clutching her side, I think. Mm-hmm.
And Granny says she'll be alright. And then she says that when they get home, she has a present for Eero. And Cocona Eero. I'm doing my best to not make it confusing, but sometimes it's important to note that Granny does say Eero.
It's a confusing episode,
yeah.
also. Welcome to our world, if you're confused.
Cocona is like...
Well, my world. You've seen the show anyway.
Yeah.
Already.
Cocona is like, but you already gave me one on my birthday. And Granny is like, oh, did I? Well, birthdays are special no matter how many times you celebrate them.
Mm-hmm. This is the part where I just think back to you saying, oh, I'm definitely going to cry recording the next episode.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I'm just thinking, oh dear. Oh gosh.
Mm-hmm.
Oh gosh.
I'm doing my best.
It hasn't even gotten the worst yet.
Nope. And then it's sometime later, and I think it's blue now, and Cocona goes to Granny's house, and no one answers. And we see, like, newspapers have piled up in her mailbox. Mm-hmm. And Cocona just takes a seat on Granny's stoop and waits for her. And then she hears someone approaching her, and she looks up and is excited, thinking that it's Granny, but it's her mom and dad.
Yeah.
And
who are not weird
we don't see their faces, though.
That's true.
And they are like, Iro, what are you doing here? And she says, I'm waiting for Granny. And then her mom grabs her hand and starts trying to, like, pull her. Mm-hmm. And tells her that they're going home, and her dad says that she can't come here anymore. And Cocona shouts no, and, like, breaks free of her mom's grip and runs away as her parents, like, call after her. Mm-hmm. And she runs down the street and is crying for Granny to come back and asking where Granny is gone. And then she just collapses on the ground. Mm-hmm. And then she wakes up in a hospital bed.
Yeah.
And she is confused. Mm-hmm. And she sort of wanders out into the hallway and spots Granny turning a corner.
Yeah, she's not dead.
Yeah. I think it's orange again now.
Yeah.
And she runs down the hallway and finds a barrier? There's like a fence? Is that a thing in hospitals?
The hospital fence. I've been in a lot of hospitals. I feel like I should know about whatever the hospital fence is.
Maybe it's a Japan. I don't know.
It could be.
And she climbs over it, and she arrives at an open hospital room and sees Granny. Mm-hmm. And Granny's like, who's there? And Cocona runs over excitedly and hugs her. Mm-hmm. And Granny is like, oh, welcome. And Cocona sort of turns and sees that her drawings are hung up on the wall above Granny's bed. Mm-hmm. And Granny says that they're the winning drawings from the school contest. The principal was very proud to display them. And Cocona is like, my drawings? And Granny responds, oh, did you draw these? And Granny says, oh, did you draw these? You could be a great artist when you grow up. Or an art teacher. Mm-hmm. And Cocona / Iro is realizing what's happening. Mm-hmm. And
is tearing up.
Starts to cry. And Granny is like, oh, I'm sorry, where's my head at? And then is like, I'm sorry, dear, I don't remember your name. And Cocona is horrified and sad. And she backs out of the room crying and runs away.
Mm-hmm. You alright?
No, I'm...
Okay? I'm a little rough, too.
She runs back home, back to her room, and she tackles Papika, who is sitting in her usual position, and she is sobbing and demands for Iro to switch with her. And Papika is like, but I'm Iro. There's only ever been one. And she reaches up and wipes the tears from Cocona's face, and they hug. And then Papika starts bawling, and Cocona is just sobbing and like, why did Granny forget about me? And they both cry, and the floor below them falls away, and they tumble into a dark pit.
Yep.
And they land in a, like, deep crevasse, and everything is gray now, and they're still hugging each other and crying. But then Papika sniffs the air.
Her bloodhound senses come in handy even in this, whatever this is.
And she's like, something stinks. It smells like nail polish. And then Cocona reaches into her pocket and pulls out a bottle of, like, bright amber nail polish.
Yeah.
And Papika is like, where'd you get that? And then we see where she got it.
Mm-hmm. Remember when Granny said she had a gift?
Mm-hmm. There's a flashback.
Yeah.
At Granny's house. Granny hands Cocona that bottle and says that she hopes that when Iro grows up, she'll be a beautiful woman with lovely painted nails. Mm-hmm. And then she holds out her pinky finger, and I think Cocona, pinky holds out her pinky in the pinky promise. Mm-hmm. And then says, someday, if Granny ever seems forgetful or happens to forget about you, promise me that you'll tell me your name. Okay, little Iro? And Cocona looks up at the sky.
We're back to the present?
And she says, what should I do, Iro?
We're back in the crevice.
She says, what should I do, Iro? My promise with Granny. It wasn't Granny's fault. It was me who left her alone. Mm-hmm. Papika asks if they should go, and we see the archway, like, at the top of the crevasse.
Yes.
Over a suspension bridge.
Yeah. Which seems difficult to get to in the first place.
Yeah. But, and Cocona says that she wants to go, and then grips the bottle of nail polish and says no, she needs to go. And Papika stands up and offers her hand, and the two of them walk deeper into the crevasse together. Mm-hmm. And they find Granny in, a cave. Mm-hmm. In a hospital bed.
Yes.
And she's sleeping. Mm-hmm. And Papika is like, hey, Granny. And she wakes up and is like, oh, who are you? And Papika and Cocona sort of they're holding hands and they tighten their grip. Mm-hmm. And take a deep breath. And say simultaneously, it's me, Iro. Iro ha Irodori, Senpai. Mm-hmm. And Granny takes a beat, and then smiles, and everything turns orange. Mm-hmm. And a tear rolls down her face, and she says, welcome, Iro dear. Mm-hmm. And then Cocona wakes up in the Thomason, and the door is opening, and Papika leaps down from her shelf, and hugs Cocona and is like, we did it!
Yeah.
And Cocona says that she's still confused.
That's fair.
And Papika is like, we should ask Senpai about it tomorrow. And Cocona is like, yeah, checking a homework question. And
which is what does that mean?
What
a thing to say. We can break the moment for a little bit. Uh-huh. What a thing to say.
Papika's confused by this too. And Cocona is like, Papika, did you do your homework? And I think we see a shot of Salt looking ominous.
Yeah.
And the next day they go to the art room. Senpai, who we now know is Iroha, is not there. And Papika still can't go in because of the smell.
Right.
And the two of them search through the school. And they find her on the roof quad.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Cocona asks her if they can ask her a question. But then she notices that Senpai's nails are painted.
Yeah.
And Cocona is confused, and Senpai sees her staring at her nails and holds them up and smiles and says, aren't they pretty? And then that's the end of the episode.
Yeah.
Next one.
And then next one.
I need to... Okay. Whew.
You alright? Do you want to talk about it, or...
There's a lot to talk about with this episode, so it might be worth it to not just save it all for after we've talked about both of them.
Yeah.
This may be getting a little personal, but I have had relatives who... I don't know how to phrase... I don't want to say victim. They had Alzheimer's. So stuff like this always makes me real sad.
Yeah.
So that's that. That's why I cry.
Uh-huh.
It's also just really
it's
sad.
It's really sad, and it's really well structured to make you sad.
Mm-hmm. Where do I start here? What do you think this episode is about?
So what is this episode? I mean, relationships and self-conflict and guilt and children being having too much expected of them.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's sort of an intentional theme, but,
I think it is.
Yeah. I feel like there's something big I'm missing.
So, why are there two Eeros?
Like the self-conflict thing, right?
Okay.
Like, the Eero is conflicting with herself.
Okay.
And also, she is a different person depending on her circumstances.
Yeah.
Like,
that's the big thing.
Okay.
Iroha is basically living two lives.
Right.
She's living a really happy life when she gets to go visit Granny. And she's living a really sad life when she's at home.
Yeah.
And this episode is about how it can be very easy to, like, consider yourself different people, depending on context. And to be, like, to compartmentalize, to not really understand that all of the aspects of your life are your life.
Right.
And all of the aspects of yourself are who you are.
There isn't two Eeros. There's always been one.
There's only one Eero. And it's also kind of subtly about being queer. Like, there are some implications that Granny might be a queer woman. Because she's an older lady who was never married and has no children.
Right. From
a generation where that was kind of like, that's just what you do.
Right. I don't know if this would be intentional, but I assumed the thing about her being the last of her school friends was, like, she's old, right? Like, all of her school friends have passed away. But also, if we assume she's a queer woman,
yeah.
There's also, that's a thing with a lot of older queer people because of the AIDS crisis.
I don't know if that happened in Japan.
That's fair.
I have no idea of the history of that stuff outside of the US and Europe.
I could be projecting that.
Yeah. And the way she tells Eero, like, it's okay to be weird. Don't worry about being weird. Don't worry about your art being weird. It's fine. And
Eero is not accepted by her family, but is embraced by someone who isn't related to her.
Right. So that's that. And it's also about, like, we'll maybe get more into this in the next episode.
Yes.
But the fact that Eero, in the real present day, is now willing to paint her nails, apparently.
They have, the girls have changed something. Because before, Eero felt guilty, too guilty to paint her nails. So it's implied that, like, we time travel now, baby. This is a time travel story now. And
it's unclear what exactly is happening.
We've got a split timeline.
If they actually changed the past, or if they just changed Eero's memories, or what.
Yeah, true, fair. But
although, perception is most of reality.
Yeah. In any case, Eero perceived herself originally as just abandoning Granny and not being able to, like, being too upset that Granny forgot her to fulfill her promise that she made to Granny. But now she perceives herself as having fulfilled that promise, and that guilt is gone now. So she does feel that she's worthy of, putting actually using the nail polish.
It's also, I don't know if this is as important to the episode's themes, but when everything is gray, and they're not sure if they should try to go and talk to Granny, I think that's because they don't know, like, how is this going to make us feel? Right. Is this going to be more sad, or is this going to be more happy?
Yeah.
And thankfully it's more happy in the end, but that's still you still need to make decisions, even if you aren't sure how those decisions will make you feel.
Right. Which also ties into the broader theme of, Cocona's core conflict in the first episode being about not being able to decide what she wants to do with her life.
Yeah. If we think of more to say about this episode later, we can...
I'm going to have more to say, but it's involving stuff in the next episode.
So let's get to the next episode.
Yeah.
Which is episode 7, Pure Component.
Yes. I feel like have we heard the word component before in a relevant context? I feel like we have, but I can't.
Someone was one half of the complete drive.
Right, that was Papika, right?
Who knows?
The evil KKK guy. Well, the KKK guy.
Oh, right, yes. Papikana was one half of the complete drive.
Yes, okay.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking of.
As always, it was directed by Kiyotaka Oshiyama and Hitomi Ezoe. It's worth noting, I think, that after last episode, the series head writer, Yuniko Ayana, left the show.
Really?
I couldn't find who replaced her, but that's worth noting.
Is it possible they went ahead without a main head writer?
It's possible. I'm not sure. I'm also not sure who wrote this episode. Okay.
I do wonder how that'll affect the show going forward, if at all.
Yeah, people have opinions. But this episode starts. Cocona's in the art room again. She's once again looking for Iroha. Papika still can't come in.
And we see that a lot of the paintings in the art room are gone.
Yeah.
Like, they aren't hung up on the walls anymore. And Cocona asks Papika if she knows which way Senpai went. And Papika, bloodhound. She follows the nail polish scent, I guess. And they do find Iro. I'm just going to keep calling her Iro, probably.
Yeah, that's fair.
Or Senpai, if Cocona is calling her Senpai.
Right.
Since I think she still is.
Yeah.
And they find her behind the school throwing some canvases away in, like, a dumpster. And she spots Cocona and asks if she and Papika could help, because she wanted to tidy up the art room. And Cocona asks if she's throwing away her paintings. And Iro just says, "These paintings are always in the way, you know?"
And then we cut to Papika and Cocona watching Iro, like, hang out with some people. Papika and Cocona are in, like, an upper floor, looking down on the roof quad. The geometry of this school is very confusing.
If it turns out this school has been in pure illusion the entire time, I'm gonna flip shit.
And Papika is like, "Oh, Senpai's acting weird." And Cocona agrees and says it's like she's a different person.
And Papika is like, "Oh shit, we forgot to ask her about Iro." Like, read the room, Papika.
Cocona doesn't really acknowledge that, and she just keeps staring out the window. And I think then we get the opening. And then
we see
Cocona is hanging out with Yayaka in the nurse's office.
Yeah! They are not sitting on the same bed this time.
No.
Because there's still a distance between them. Cinematography. Framing. Blocking. Film theory. That's just a theory.
Does anime have blocking?
I guess not.
Who knows?
I mean, you block people's attacks a lot.
That's true.
In an anime. He blocked it.
Yayaka is like, everyone has off days. And Cocona is like, yeah.
She's like eating like an almond cake or something.
Yeah. Because remember, all she eats is sweets.
That's right, I forgot. Cocona is like, yeah, she's not very...
And Yayaka changes the subject. And is like, now remember, stay away from that black hole.
Yeah. That black hole?
That black hole.
She means the portal. Which looks nothing like what I would describe as a black hole.
And she then says, that hole has been rumored to be a tunnel straight into the pits of hell.
So you've chosen to plunge into hell on your own.
Next time you go in, you might not be able to come back. And then Cocona has, like, an imagined spot of her and Papika in hell.
Yeah, just getting, like, Hieronymus Bosch-esque tortured by demons.
And she's like, "Are you serious?" And Yayaka then says, "Or so I like to joke." But really, what'd you actually see in there? And Cocona...
Yayaka's a fucking asshole.
Cocona sort of hesitates for a bit, and then she tells Yayaka that it was Senpai's memories. And Yayaka doesn't really seem to know what to make of that. And Cocona is like, well, what should we do? And Yayaka is like, stay away from that place. It's really bad. And Cocona is like, do you think what we did was bad? And Yayaka is like, I don't fucking know, man.
Who knows anything at this point, you know? And then Cocona says they should tell Senpai, but then the bell rings and the school nurse arrives immediately. I like to think she was just waiting outside the door until the bell rang.
Yeah.
I don't know why she would be doing that, but, you know.
You know.
And then tells them to go to class.
Yeah.
And then later we see Cocona and Papika walking through the halls, and they stop in front of that painting again. The big painting in the hallway. Mm-hmm. And just thinks about the things about Iro that have changed now. Mm-hmm. And reiterates that something is off. And Papika is like, her nail polish?
And then we cut to...
Do you want to do it, or...
You can do it. I feel like I've been reading most of the quotes.
Okay. We cut to Hideka saying, "Singularity is here!"
Uh-huh.
And he and Boo are both very excited.
Uh-huh.
We're in flip-flap.
Uh-huh.
Cocona and Papika are here. And Hideka says... He says some fucking bullshit nonsense.
Okay, if you're not going to read it...
No, I'm going to read it.
Okay.
I'm just prefacing that it's bullshit nonsense. Which is, the spectrum you sampled in Pure Illusion last time suggests the existence of something deeper. Do you have any idea what this means for moving my research forward?
And Cocona and Papika sort of, like, talk over each other. Cocona's like, you have to tell us, Hideka. And Papika is like, Senpai's acting weird. And they both demand Hideka tell them what happened.
Which I really like.
Uh-huh.
This is a fantastic scene. Of the finally because this is the anime thing, right? Like, or a lot of these anime that we've watched, or I say this anime and Sailor Moon and also Utena, which we haven't watched on the show, but we have watched, is where it's like, here's just some weird shit that we're not going to explain, and the characters aren't going to ask about it. But now the characters have had enough of the bullshit and are like, hey, explain to us what the fuck is happening.
And Hideka agrees to tell them.
He says, I need to be the one to read this because I need to commit it to my own memory to have an idea of what the fuck is happening in the sort of literal expanse of the show. He's very reluctant on explaining this also, which I love.
But while he explains, he does do a series of dramatic poses.
Yes, he does gesticulate. He says, to put it simply, pure illusion is thought to be a world of ideas based upon the interrelationships between what is known to be two subjects and their unique perception. Hang on, give me a moment. That's not the end of the quote, but I need to take a breath. It is not limited to human beings, but the entire realm of existence. A mission to bring impact to the world. We take the initiative, fully committing ourselves to the mission and the complete drive. As we must, so shall you. So some of that is nonsense. Plenty of that is nonsense. Cocona is still like, hey, what? And Hideka is like, simply, pure illusion is a world adjacent to our own, which only the two of you have the joy of being able to access.
And Cocona is like, you don't really know anything about that place, do you? and Hideka sort of snaps back and is like, that's why I'm researching it!
At least I know how much he knows now, roughly.
Interrelationship between two beings and their unique perception is, I think, the key thing. For a second I thought you were going to say interrelationship between two beings and their unique perception is queer culture. That's
or
true.
Something like that.
That's also real. Cocona is once again like, hey, so what about that black hole?
Yeah, they just decided that's what that's called now, and I don't like it because it doesn't.
Yeah.
Just call it I don't know what to call it. Stonehenge.
Hideka...
What's the meaning of Stonehenge, is what she asks.
Hideka exclaims that it is the deep end of pure illusion. Do you want to continue reading Hideka, or do you want me to take over?
I can keep being the mad scientist.
Okay.
It is shown to be a key area of pure illusion that can transmit waves into our present-day world. If something strange has befallen this world, there's a good chance it originated from those waves. So, so pure illusion can affect the real world. Mm-hmm. So they did really either time travel or just alter the emotions that exist in the present real world.
And Cocona sort of quietly to herself, like, oh, that means we did do something. Mm-hmm. And Hideka is like, if anything comes to mind, it would be vital to my research. And Papika sort of, like, looks over at Cocona like, should we? It's up to you. Should we tell him? And then Cocona is like, nope, nothing. Mm-hmm. But hypothetically, if anything had changed, could he be changed back? And
Hideka is a dumbass, thankfully.
Hideka is like, it might not be impossible, but we don't know much about pure illusion. And Cocona is dismayed. And starts to be like, but I thought pure illusion was... But then Salt is here. Mm-hmm. And he says, any kind of world has the ability to exist within the realms of pure illusion. The same, however, cannot be said about reality. A utopian world without conflict cannot exist. Conflict is what our world is made of.
Yeah. So, he's such a kunzite. Like, he really is just such a bad guy. Not such a bad guy, but...
I don't know if what he's saying is bad.
What he's saying is not necessarily bad. I'm just saying he says everything like a bad guy.
That's fair, yes.
That sounded like a villain speech.
Cocona also doesn't like it and storms out of the room.
It's also just kind of pretentious.
It is... I mean, utopia without conflict isn't possible. Utopia is a verb. You gotta keep working towards a utopia. You can't just stay
Utopia's not a verb. You can't utopia something.
Utopia is a thing you do.
A utopia.
It is not a state of being.
Society.
Anyway.
Austin Walker ass.
He's right. And he should say it.
Yeah.
We see a shot of, like, Salt's eyes under his sunglasses.
Yeah.
And he says to himself, no time left for hesitation.
That reminds me of something that we forgot to mention. There's also a shot where we see one of Hideka's eyes.
Right, yes.
His Melvin glasses.
He has very, like...
He has pretty eyes.
He has pretty eyes.
Which I was not expecting, because he's a... buffoon and a rube.
He's a doofus. Papika and Boo sort of, like, chase after Cocona, and then we cut to Hideka sitting in front of the Thomason as we hear Papika, like...
Yeah, I love this!
...struggle and yell at Boo to let her go, and we see that Boo has captured her.
I love the fucking... It's just... The fact that they have, like, run to their room, but their room is a cabinet... And also, their semi-dad figure, the authority figure guy, has followed them there and is just grumpily sitting outside to fucking talk them down from being idiots. It's really funny.
Yeah,
they're not being idiots, they're being entirely reasonable, but I'm saying from his perspective.
Yeah. Hideka, like, lectures them and is like, not everyone has the pleasure of being able to enter pure illusion.
As long as you live under our magical, illusory dimension, you'll play by our rules.
Papika yells, I won't let you bully Cocona in any way. I hate you and Salt's stupid guts. And then she, like, manages to free one of her arms and dangles it down for Cocona. I also love that Boo had to restrain Papika, but Cocona was just like, alright. And Cocona, I think, takes Papika's hand and is like, did you know about any of this? And Papika is just like, no, I didn't.
Papika doesn't know anything.
No.
She's a dumbass.
And Cocona then says that she doesn't want to go to Pure Illusion anymore. And Papika is like, but we gotta get the shards. They might be able to return Senpai back to how she was. And Cocona...
She points out that, like, we don't know that.
Yeah, we don't know that the shards will actually grant our wishes. And Cocona says that she's worried they'll change something else if they go back.
Right.
And then Papika tells her that it's fine as long as they stay away from the black hole. And Coconu's like, you don't know that either.
I love the sentence, it's fine as long as we stay away from the black hole. And, like, that's generally true.
Yeah. And then Papika, like, smiles and says, don't worry if you start to fall. I'll be there to catch you. But that does not reassure Cocona, and she lets go of Papika's hand and says, it's impossible. And then outside, Dr. Hideko, like, sighs and is like, we're done.
And then we see later, Cocona wakes up on a bench.
Yeah, she checks her watch and is like, I gotta get home.
And she gets home, and she calls out to Grandma, but she doesn't answer. She goes into her room, and she looks into Yuke's little nest. And she's like, hey, Yuke, and he's not there.
He's not there.
He's not.
And she keeps looking around the house. She keeps calling for her grandma. She finds a full plate of food at the dinner table.
Yes.
And then she checks in the living room, but still, no one's here. And then she hears from behind her, Sissy. And then she turns and is like, who are you? And we see a little girl with salmon-colored pigtails. And she tells Cocona that dinner is ready. And Cocona is like, Papika? And Papika says that they should eat together. Just you and me, sissy. And the two of them sit down to eat.
For the record, she is not insulting Cocona, I don't believe.
No, she's saying sissy like big sis.
Yeah.
Like sister.
Oni-chan.
Probably, yes. And Cocona is too in shock and hasn't touched her food. And Papika is like, you gotta eat it before it gets cold. And Cocona is like, hey, why are you in my home? Where's my grandma? Where's Yuke? And then Papika starts to cry. And Cocona is like, what's wrong? And Papika is like, it's just dinner's getting cold now.
So fucking good.
And Cocona is like, jeez, okay. And eats some of her food. And Papika is like, is it gross? And Cocona is like, no, it's really good. And Papika then wipes her tears away and says, no biggie. And Cocona doesn't know what to make of
Yeah, she's just like, no biggie?
And later, Cocona and Papika are taking a bath together.
As they are wont to do.
Yeah. It's not gay if you take a bath with your friend, if she's your sister now. And...
No, hang on. No... How about you repeat that sentence you just said into the microphone a little louder so we can incorporate this into a call-out post?
It's not gay if you take a bath with your best friend if she's like your sister now.
You didn't say like your sister.
That's what I meant to say.
Okay, because she is her sister now.
Not really.
I think. Unclear.
Papika takes the shower head and tells Cocona that she's always in charge of rinsing off her back. And Cocona is like, okay, and lets her. And then tells Papika, I'd rather you didn't call me sissy, though. And Papika starts crying. And is like, do you not think I'm strong enough for you?
What does that mean?
And Cocona's like, that's not it. It's okay, it's fine if you call me sissy, but don't cry. And again, it's no biggie. And Cocona turns away and is like, hurry up. And then they're drying off, and Cocona's like, are you staying over tonight? And Papika's gone.
Yep, we see her in the mirror. And Cocona turns around, and she's gone.
Her towel is on the floor. And then Cocona goes to look, but cannot find her, and is like, why do you always run off like that? And then the next day, Cocona gets ready for school, as she does. She leaves the house, and is like, well, see ya. To nobody.
To the house.
She gets to the train crossing. It's a lot of, like, shots that are direct callbacks to the first episode.
Yes.
No one's at the train crossing. Train doesn't even come.
Right.
She gets to class. Again, no one there. And she's like, what is happening? And then is hit in the back of the head with a ball of paper.
Execution style.
Okay. And then she turns and sees Papika.
Yes.
Who now has short hair and is dressed in a boy's uniform.
Yeah.
And
he?
I don't know what pronouns to use
for Papika here.
Yeah. Leans back and is like, sup? And Cocona is like, hey, you jerk, you did that on purpose. And Papika is like, yeah, I did.
And at this point, Cocona does realize, oh, we're in fucking pure illusion, aren't
we? Yeah. So, for the record, both of these Papikas have names.
Do they?
Yes. The little sister Papika is Papino. And,
that's my favorite character from that webcomic that they turned into an anime. About the tall blue-haired girl and the short, blonde-haired girl.
Yeah. And this boy Papika is Papito.
Papito, okay.
And Cocona figures out this is pure illusion. Mm-hmm. And then Papika's like, who really knows? And Cocona starts to yell at her. I don't like... I'm just gonna use her because that's what Papika is, really.
Sure. These Papikas are not Papika.
They're not Papika.
But they're also Papika.
We'll get to it. Papika just grabs her face and is like, shh! All the other classmates are gonna be here. Now we need to get out and play hooky. And Cocona's like, what? But nevertheless,
yeah,
we see them climbing out of the bathroom window?
I guess.
Cocona has some trouble getting out, and Papito sort of tsundere-esque offers a hand. And Cocona takes it and lands on her feet, and is like, hey, I did it! And looks, and then Papito is gone.
Yep.
And then Cocona goes to Flip Flap.
Yeah. And probably trying to figure out if there's some way she can reverse this, or what she needs to do.
No one's there either. And then she goes to check out Salt's office.
Yeah, which I think is this is the first time we've seen, Salt's office.
Is it? I guess you're right, because he has,
he has his little loft.
His loft, and then I guess this is a different office.
Yeah, this is a covered room.
Salt isn't there. His office is very bare. Yes. There's just a single desk.
A desk, a chair, some, padded walls.
I'm not sure if that's how it always is, or if it's just this pure illusion.
Yeah, that's fair.
And she sees a drawer on Salt's desk, and is about to open it, when there's a creepy giggling. And she looks around and finds another Papika under the desk. And...
Hey, this episode is the opposite of last episode.
Yeah, this is Papia.
Okay. We can just I feel like we can just call them,
I know, but I just want you to know the names.
Okay.
She's got, hair covering one of her eyes.
Yes.
She's apparently a reference to a different anime called Watamote.
Okay.
Which is about a creepy girl.
Okay.
Who doesn't have a lot of friends.
Aw.
And...
She's got the stringy-haired ghost girl kind of going on.
And she asks if Cocona is sure she should be looking in there. And Cocona's like, why not? It's open.
I love how Cocona, at this point, is fully in the realm of... Do you ever think that middle school life is already so goddamn weird? This might as well happen. She's just rolling with it.
And Papika is like, you want to look inside together? And Cocona's like, I guess. And they open the drawer... And inside is nothing but a single pair of nail clippers.
Yes.
And Cocona is confused by this. And then Papika just fucking...
She seizes.
I would describe her motion as slurp.
Yeah,
I don't know why.
She dissolves.
She dissolves away.
Disapparates.
I gotta trim your nails, Cocona.
Yeah. Oh, nails. NAIL. We've got some recurring motif.
I think, okay. Yes, it is. Also, there might be another reason, though. Harold.
I got you now. It took me a second. I do also want to point out, Salt's got a computer on his desk.
Oh, does he?
Yeah. But he has the monitor, and the little drawer in front is where you would put a keyboard, but instead there's just a single pair of nail clippers, which is really funny to me. He doesn't have keys for his computer.
Yeah. Later, Cocona is walking through town, and she decides to stop at a park and eat lunch.
Mm-hmm.
When a new Papika appears.
Yeah.
This one is Papio.
Okay.
She looks like a rich girl. She's got like ringlet hair.
Mm-hmm.
She's wearing glasses.
Like a green dress or green.
She has a green school uniform. And she like twirls around and is like, "Cocona, build something with me." And then the two of them build sandcastles. And Papika immediately demolishes hers. And is like, "Cocona, you should punch yours too."
I want to point out when Papio, when rich girl Papika smashes her sandcastle, she like shudders in delight at the sensation of destroying that which she created.
And Cocona sort of hesitantly punches her sandcastle. And
I love the sentence, "she hesitantly punches her sandcastle."
And Papika claps her hands. And
it sounds like a euphemism from another dimension.
Yes. And it's like, didn't it feel good, Cocona, to let it out? And Cocona's like, I guess, a little bit. And then later, Cocona is tending to a new punk Papika. This is Papio.
Yeah, it's another, I believe another...
This is a boy Papika.
Wait, wasn't the last one also Papio?
No, that was Papio. This is Papio.
Okay. Yeah, this is another boy Papika, I think, who has a fucking pompadour and a leather jacket.
He has a school uniform that is open.
Oh, okay.
A boy's school uniform.
He does have a little bandage on his face, I think, to indicate that he is a ruffian.
Well, I think Cocona put it there, because he's like, "Stop fussing over me, it's not that bad." And Cocona's like, "Well, you got so dirty." "Oh, I have an idea." And then the two of them have gone to a clothing store. And Papika emerges from the changing room. Can you describe this outfit?
Clown-like, I would say.
Yeah,
Clown-esque.
She has like a, not flannel, but it's like a button-up shirt.
Yeah.
Like a clown would wear.
Like a clown
with
would wear,
overalls over it. And
a big bow tie, I think.
Bear ears?
Bear ears and like big round purple like sunglasses,
yeah. I think. And Cocona says she looks great. But Papika is like, I can't stand this goofy crap.
Yeah, so we know this is not our Papika. And it's Hashtag like, not my Papika.
It's like, it's your turn now. And then Cocona has dressed in a swimsuit with a big yellow bow on her head. And Papika is like, "Oh, it looks good."
And Cocona's upset at this.
And then Papika holds out another outfit.
Also, Papika is dressed now.
Yeah.
Some kind of way.
I don't know how... She has like a green bodysuit.
And like a dandelion head.
I don't know if it's a dandelion or if it's like a bun. I don't know.
Like a food bun?
Like a food bun.
Maybe. Like a dumpling?
I don't know how to describe it. And she then holds out another outfit. And is like, "Oh, okay, try this one on." And then Cocona emerges from the changing room and is dressed as a sukeban.
With a kendo sword.
Yes. And she's like, "Oh, how does it look?" And Papika looks away blushing and is like, "It's fine. It's not bad."
And I believe is holding their nose.
Yes, clearly to prevent a nosebleed.
Yes. This is just the anime bad boy cliche Papika.
Yes, exactly. We then see like a montage of Cocona hanging out with various Papikas. I think she rides a tandem bike with Papio. She goes to the arcade with Papio.
Yeah, she sure does with those two different Papikas.
And then we see a short...
Can we just call them descriptions, you know?
She then takes a photo booth picture with a
new Papika.
A new Papika who's like very girly.
Yeah, kind of Valley Girl-esque, I would say.
I don't know, there's a specific term for gal is a term in Japanese.
Okay.
That refers to a specific type of girl, and I don't know if that's exactly what Papika is here. But yeah, she's like popular girl.
Okay, yeah.
And this is Papiko.
Okay.
And she takes one look at the photo and is like, I want to die. And,
I love the line read on this.
Uh-huh.
This is a fantastic episode for Papika's voice actress to just go hog wild.
Mm-hmm. And
this entire episode is just a portfolio for her.
Coconuts like, all right, let's take another one. And they do. And Papika's like, is this any cuter? And Coconut's like, yeah, sure. And then she's alone again. Coconut is alone again. There's no traffic, but she still waits for the crosswalk sign to turn green.
Yes.
To cross the street.
Lawful good. I do also love, we see the cars that are just empty. There's just cars on the road. Like the world existed and then stopped.
Mm-hmm. She goes to a temple or a shrine.
Yeah.
And takes a sit. And she's like, oh, where's Papika at? I said I didn't want to come back here anymore. And then a glass soda bottle smacks her on the cheek. And she looks up and sees Papika, who I know specifically that this Papika is a girl. That is apparently something they talked about in the art book.
Wait.
This is a girl
really?
Papika.
Okay, that's interesting for a reason.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess we can just say it. Cocona does say, oh, she's a hot guy now.
Yeah,
Was that a translation thing?
No.
Or? Okay. She's just wrong.
Yeah.
Okay. This Papika is just so butch that she couldn't tell.
And Cocona is like, oh, who are you now? And Papika is like, I've been looking for you. Don't make me worry like that. And then she hands Cocona the soda. This is Papia.
I fucking hate this. I hate these names.
She gives Cocona the soda and then runs over to the I don't know what the word for this is, but it's the
it's like a trough.
A trough of water at a shrine.
It's got a big ladle in it.
Just douses herself in water and makes her shirt wet. And Cocona looks annoyed at this. It would be a lot hotter if Papika was a girl, wouldn't it? And then
she is.
And then she just chugs her soda.
Cocona does also seem flustered.
She does seem flustered, yes. This is also when she's like, she's a hot guy now. Then it's nighttime, and it started to rain.
I love that the art book and shit apparently just has like a bunch of things contradicting shit that we hear in the anime directly. That's just kind of incredible.
Cocona is standing under like a hotel awning. I'm not.
Yeah.
So I've seen a lot of people say that this is a love hotel. I don't know how they know that. But
right, it's a hotel.
It is a hotel.
I mean, there are things that happen.
Cocona continues to wonder why she's in pure illusion when the door of the hotel opens behind her. And she apparently just... She helps herself to a hotel room. And...
I guess that's fair. You know.
And she's apparently so tired that she can't even get on the bed. She just kneels beside it and places her head on the covers.
She kind of leans, like, the top half of her body.
Yes,
She lays her top half down, and then is just on her knees on the floor.
And she says that she's too tired and wishes that it could just stay like this for a bit. But then is like, but I need to change Senpai back to normal. And then another Papika flops down behind her, beside her, and is like, is it not okay to change? And Cocona is apparently just taking this in stride and says, that wasn't what I meant.
Does this Papika have a name?
This is Papina.
Okay.
Papina, maybe? I don't know. And Papika says, Cocona, I would still like you even if you were to change. You know I would. What about you? And Cocona says, I don't really know how I feel about you. And Papika asks her why. And Cocona says that you're not the Papika I already know.
Yeah.
And then Papika says, do I have to be the Papika you know? And Cocona is unsure. And Papika then says, then do you like me now? And sort of quietly, under her breath, is like, please? And Coconut responds to this. Do you mean just as a friend? And Papika
Harold
is like, why would you ask it like that? And Coconut responds, well, because when I say like, I usually mean... And then they turn to face each other. And the scene cuts.
Yeah.
To the two of them wearing nightgowns. Or I guess, like, negligees. And Papika has cuddled up to Coconut and sort of is rubbing her shoulder.
So this is why I think people might assume this is a love hotel.
Yeah, this also, I didn't describe this Papika. She has, like, long hair with devil horns.
Yeah. I can't tell if those are, like, a headband or what.
I think they're a headband.
Okay.
And she asks if Coconut wants to do something really fun.
Hey, this is the Papika of the Devil Arcana.
And she says, don't you just want to forget about it all? And Coconut is like, I can't. I have to find my friend who got lost. And Papika is disappointed. And Coconut is like, well, it's fun to be with you, but I need to go home. And then Papika says, that's a shame. You're no fun. And then she's gone. It's not gay to lay next to your friend,
fellas,
in a nightgown in a hotel bed. Next morning,
is it gay to fuck a clone of your best friend in an illusory realm?
Next morning,
if it's off screen,
I don't know. I don't think she did. She said no, and then Papika disappeared.
Yeah, no, I meant between those before that.
I don't think they did.
Okay.
Next morning, Coconut is, like, walking along the train tracks. And is like, okay, I gotta find the real Papika. And she, like, searches for her. She rides the train through town.
There's a really good shot, just, like, a long shot of her on the train, just, like, emphasizing the fucking loneliness she is experiencing right now, because she is the only one on the train that is running for some reason.
Yep. She gets off the train and it is sunset now. It stops, like, near the river, outside of town. And Coconut decides to take a rest, like, on the bank. We see Yayaka and the twins. On the road behind her. And Yayaka just they sort of stare at Papika, and then Yayaka's like, let's just go. And we see that they have a shard and an amorphous.
I desperately want to know if there was a monster tied to that one.
Yeah.
I would love to know if they fought a monster in this dimension, and what it was like, and where it was, while all this was going on. What if they just fought a giant Papika? Just fucking Papikaiju.
And Coconut is like, what'll happen if I can't figure out how to get home? And she then yells out in frustration, stupid Papika, you're such an idiot, where did you go? And she then hears her backpack falling next to her, and she turns to look, and a dark hole has opened up.
Yep.
And it widens, and she starts to fall in, and she's screaming. And she's like treading water in this hole, like trying to stay up above it.
That feels like a very dreamlike thing. Like, that's a thing that happens in dreams.
Yeah. But then she starts to fall when someone grabs her hand.
Yeah.
And it's Papika.
Yeah.
And her pipe is a spaceship.
Yep. We have the pipe and it's a spaceship now.
And she says, I finally found my lost Coconut. And Coconut says, huh? What on earth do you mean by that? You're the one who seemed... Oh. And Papika's like, And Coconut just says, nothing. I've been looking for you. And the two of them get in the pipe, and there's a single shot of Papika wearing a captain's hat, and Coconut wearing, like, a space helmet, and they blast off into the stratosphere.
And out of pure illusion. Meanwhile,
we see, like, a facility in the woods. And we see inside, and it is clearly the a Schlepius, a Slurpius, what the fuck ever.
Yeah, Snake Boy.
Snake Boy.
It's the Snake Boys.
And we see Yayaka standing in front of, like, a door that is being guarded by, two of the robots?
Two of the robots and one of the KKK guys.
Yeah. God, I wish there was any other way to refer to them. But
Pointy boys.
One of the pointy boys, and she demands to be let inside, but the man tells her that there's recently been a change in security protocols, and her security clearance isn't high enough now.
This place is a lot more sort of stringent and authoritarian than Flip Flap.
Yeah, and Yayaka yells at him that she can't do anything if she doesn't know shit.
Yeah.
And
she's gotten tired of being the anime protagonist in this anime where no one tells anybody anything.
And she's like, "Why didn't you tell me about the hole?" And then he says, "If you don't follow them, you'll never be able to find the Amorphous. You'll fall behind the child of Amorphous. If you do not obey, you'll no longer have a place here." I think Child of Amorphous is a translation error?
Really?
Because the subtitles for the Japanese version say Children of Amorphous.
Okay.
And then we see the twins.
Yep.
Sitting in the big room.
Mm-hmm.
And they're sort of like back to back holding hands. Mm-hmm. And the boy is like, "Can you feel it?" And the girl says that she can. And we see Head Point.
Pinhead.
Place the Amorphous that they got into the pillar.
Yes.
And he laughs and is like, "Oh, we just need a few more."
Mm-hmm. And we see some of the lights light up around the pillar. And I do want to point out, this is, I didn't realize this at first. We've seen this pillar before, obviously.
Yeah.
But I only realized, seeing the pillar again now, the pillar is the same shape of the rope that was coiled around the rock.
Oh, was it?
That became the Stonehenge black hole.
I don't know if that's intentional. I legitimately can't remember if there's a connection between those things.
Okay.
And then we see a big lake.
Yeah.
That is surrounded by, like, ruins?
Yes.
And trees that are weirdly shaped.
Yes. And we see a dude.
Yeah.
A guy.
Do you know who this dude is?
I have no fucking clue.
Okay. He is sitting in the woods. Maybe not.
Okay. Who could it?
I know who it is, but I read some episode summaries where it seemed like other people didn't know who it was.
Okay.
So I wasn't sure if that was them.
Should I know? Is it a character in the show that we've seen already?
Yeah. It's a character in the show.
No, that we've seen already.
I'm not going to answer that.
Well, okay, then yes. The answer is yes. You just answered it.
No, I didn't.
You did. You fucking clown.
Whatever. Then don't ask me the question, man.
If the answer had been no, you would have said no.
He's in the woods. He's typing on a laptop.
Uh-huh.
But he quickly sort of hides it, and then hides behind a tree when he hears the, like, whoop of Cocona and Papika falling out of pure illusion.
I forget, do they come in the pipe?
No, the pipe isn't there.
Okay. Don't know where the pipe went, but...
They fall on top of each other, and Cocona's like, "Hey, get off of me!" And they're in, like, a big field of daisies.
Oh, Boo is here too, by the way.
Boo is here too, who gives a shit?
He was in the pipe.
Papika... We like, cut to Papika having made a flower crown for Cocona, and she puts it on her head.
I love these two. They just fucking teleport to a place they don't even know that looks weird as shit. And Papika's first instinct is, oh, flowers. Make crown. Build crown for friend.
And Cocona says that she likes how it smells, and Papika smiles.
Yeah, I love that line, because Papika's smell is Papika's thing. Cocona is noticing smells now.
Cocona says that Papika's shard is glowing, and Papika holds up her shard and says that Cocona's right. Her ankle is also glowing. That probably isn't related. And then Papika is overcome by a vision.
Yes.
And we see her being sort of blown back by some force, and she shouts, "Mimi!" And we see a man who is also being blown back, who also shouts Mimi, and then a woman who looks sad and is holding a baby, and she quietly says sorry, and sort of like fades away, and the vision ends. And we cut back to reality. Cocona is like, Papika?
I love, again, the motion you just made.
Listen, it was for me.
To get the tone right?
Yeah.
You had to move your hand like you're in front of somebody's face? I just want to explain it to the audience that can't see it.
And Papika is like, Mimi. And then Cocona is like, Mimi?
Mm-hmm.
And we see the man behind the tree clutching a shard.
Colonel.
God damn it. We see the man behind the tree clutching a shard in his hand.
Yeah.
Next time, Pure Breaker.
Yeah. The twins do rock, paper, scissors to figure out who should get to say it, but it ends before they finish their game. Which is very cute. So yeah.
So this episode, take a sip of water.
Sorry, you sounded like you were starting a sentence.
What do you think about this episode?
I think it's 3 different episodes, it feels like. Like, the beginning is one episode that is following up on the last episode.
Yeah.
And then the middle is its own episode. And then the end is a new episode that is foreshadowing additional future episodes.
Yep.
That don't feel like super related to each other, but I assume thematically.
I think the beginning and the middle are definitely related.
Okay, yeah, because I can think, like you were saying, the idea of splitting yourself into multiple people, like that is obviously a theme in this episode in a way, because there's a bunch of fucking Papikas. I love this episode. It's really good. Super cute and fun.
These 2 episodes are probably some of my favorite episodes on the show. I have a question. Okay. What do you think of what's going on with Senpai?
It's really interesting to me, actually, because, at first, it seemed, like, unambiguously good. Like, she is free of, like, her guilt now. She has, like, freed herself from feeling guilty. And now she feels confident enough to, like, wear nail polish, which she wanted to do.
Yeah.
But for some reason, it's also made her, like, changed her value of her art.
Yeah.
Which seems like a net negative, even though, although she doesn't seem like she is necessarily suffering from it.
So, I don't know what the show wants us to think about what's happening there.
Okay.
Cocona definitely is not happy with it.
Yes.
But I think that's because she's afraid of change.
Yes.
I think Senpai is happier. I think... Yeah. I don't know if we're meant to think that, but I do think that Senpai is happier. Even if she's not, keeping her paintings around, it is not implied that she has stopped painting. She's still painting, she's just not, like, hoarding them.
Yes. I think it could also be tied to the idea that, like... So, it seems like the reason she used nail polish in her paintings in the first place. It seems like that attached a level of personal reverence to the art itself. Yeah. Because she associates nail polish so strongly with Granny.
Yes.
And her guilt over Granny. Like, it's a very... It turns every piece extremely personal and extremely emotionally driven.
Yes.
And then... It's not necessarily implied that she has stopped using nail polish in her paintings.
No.
But... We do know she uses nail polish on her nails now, and her room still smells like nail polish, so she still keeps nail polish in there. So, it could be that, like, again, like, she keeps in the original timeline, she keeps these paintings as kind of a thing that is always around to remind her of how guilty she feels.
Yeah. But now, she doesn't need to keep them anymore.
Yeah, she can move on.
She also, we see some hints that she's more social now. It was implied previously that, like, she mostly hung out alone in the art room. And she wasn't asocial. She was willing to hang out with Cocona and Papika.
Right.
But she did not like, make an effort herself to go out and talk with people,
which we
see her doing.
Yeah, she hung out with Cocona because Cocona approached her by mistake a lot of the time, but inadvertently they ended up being friends, not by any, like, effort.
And I don't want to just give my treatise on... I mean, I did that last time,
I mean, also, this is what the show is. Like, sure, go for it. Just put a fucking dick joke at the end or something.
That's... okay.
We don't make dick jokes a lot, actually.
No, and I'm glad we don't.
There's not a lot of characters with dicks in most of these shows, I feel like.
Yeah, maybe we'll make more when we watch My Hero Academia.
Yeah. The little purple guy's a dick.
He sure is.
I don't know. I only know this.
This Pure Illusion.
Talk to me about the show. Yeah.
Is like you said. It is like we sort of the episode is called Pure Components. We break ourselves down into component parts.
Right.
And this Pure Illusion is there are kind of two ways to take it. Mm-hmm. It is, and it could be both. It is Cocona trying to figure out. Why does she enjoy hanging out with Papika? Right. What does she like about Papika? Who is Papika to her? Is she a sister? Mm-hmm. Is she a troublemaker? Yeah. A bad influence? Is she a weirdo who does weird shit? Mm-hmm. Is she a friend? Is she
like a very feminine, like girly friend, like in a girlfriend, quote unquote, type of way?
Would it be easier to Would it be easier to understand? Cocona thinks, would it be easier to understand my feelings if Papika was a boy a lot? Or does that make me like her less? Mm-hmm. Do I have romantic feelings for Papika? Mm-hmm. It is also, I think, Papika trying to figure out which version of herself Cocona would like best. And which aspects of her personality would make Cocona happy. Because we see... At the beginning, little sister Papika being like, am I not strong enough for you? Mm-hmm. And then at the end, devil Papika,
temptress Papika,
begging Cocona to like her now. Mm-hmm. Having gone through all of these aspects of herself and getting rejected, essentially.
Right.
And at the end, they both realize, oh no, what Cocona likes about Papika is who Papika is, the real Papika, and not just component pieces.
Yes.
Papika is not
who she is to Cocona. Papika is Papika.
Right. And also, she's not... Papika can't be broken down like that. Papika is a full, complex person who has, many facets of her personality, and all of those come together to make the person that Cocona likes. Mm-hmm.
And we see that in all of the, incidences of of Papika. Mm-hmm. The childish little sister aspect is, her childishness. Mm-hmm. Her, just see some flowers and immediately gotta make a crown. Uh-huh. Her destructive capability with the sandcastle and everything, but also her creative side with that.
Yeah.
Her, again, the troublemaking, the creepy weirdness. She is, weird and unusual and a little unsettling sometimes. Mm-hmm. But, she is all of those.
Mm-hmm. And I do think this is Cocona, not understanding that she has romantic feelings for Papika.
Yeah.
Because she sees Papika as a boy a lot.
Right. And thinks that she's hot as a boy. Mm-hmm. Sometimes.
And yeah, I don't know.
It's really
have
well
a conclusion to that.
It's good. It would be a conclusion, I would say. I do want to point out, Papika's line at the end about, I found my Cocona, I found my lost Cocona. I mean, that is how she just kind of talks already, all the time, but it also feels like that and Cocona's reaction to that line makes it feel like to me that Papika, I don't know if Papika, experienced what Cocona experienced from the other side. I don't know if Papika remembers being all those different versions of Papika, because I feel like it might be implied by that line that Papika experienced her own version of this.
Maybe.
Of, she could have also encountered multiple different Coconas that were...
Maybe.
But she also might just have been looking for her Cocona.
Yeah.
Because it's also possible she just went through this fucking empty world. Because, again, like, I don't know if Papika has the character conflict about how she feels about Coconut.
Yeah,
I don't know if Papika knows how she feels about Coconut, because I don't know if she has any sort of self-awareness about her own emotions whatsoever.
In the third episode, she was like, I really, really like you. So I think Papika knows.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also don't know quite what to make of the fact that, like, after Coconut leaves the hotel, it takes her a while until Papika shows up again.
Yeah.
Is that maybe Papika, like, giving Coconut space?
Right, yeah.
I don't know how much agency Papika has. Or, you know, it could be an unconscious thing if she is doing that. But yeah, it's good.
Yeah, altogether, I really love, like, I'm gonna do something you're gonna hate, which is I'm gonna compare Flip Flappers to a John Green novel.
Why would you do that? Why would you do that to me and our audience?
So, John Green, deeply flawed as a person and an author. Paper Towns, though. He had a novel called Paper Towns that I really like, which is very much about deconstructing the Manic Pixie Dream Girl trope. And the core thesis of that novel is about how a person is not what their relationship is to you, or and a person is not even how you see that person. Right. They are just their own person with their own desires and their own complex complexities. And I love that, like, ever since I read that book, I've loved that, like, theme, essentially. So I really love, like, this did, like, personally affect me a lot, too, is the exploration of that theme. Yeah. And again, also, if we think about let's return to my theory from the first episode, is Papika Cocona's Manic Pixie Dream Girl. Yeah. And I feel like, no. Like, this episode says no. She fulfills a similar role in the story, but again, she is not there for Coconut. She's not there for Coconut, but their relationship is still important to both of them. She is her own person that is important to Coconut, and Coconut is important to her. She is not just there to give Coconut character development. Right. I don't know if there's anything more. Yeah, to say. I like Iro a lot. Iro's good. That episode broke my fucking heart. I don't know what's going on with that guy. I have noticed, like, there's a, in these two episodes, there's a motif of falling into holes in the ground. Yep. Also, sorry, I forgot to mention, remember how at the beginning of this episode, Papika said that she wouldn't let Coconut fall? Yeah, She didn't. Yep, Yep, she caught her. So, that's important. And then I was just thinking in the first episode of these two, Twin Girl smashes the floor, and then Coconut and Papika both go falling together into the crevice where they find the black hole. And then within Iro's memories, they fall in the art room. There is one more thing I was waiting for this episode to talk about this. The Iro episode is the first sort of, like, concrete proof we have that pure illusion can reflect other people. Right. Because it reflects Iro, and not just our two protagonists. It comes together, I think, with episode 2, which is clearly a world that reflects Yuxkul. Right. And episode 1, which is, if you remember, the snow world. Yeah. That looks very cold and uninviting at first, but they eat the snow, and it's sweet on the inside, like Coconut. Oh, okay. Yeah. And I think a lot of these worlds reflect Coconut. Right. She's sort of our viewpoint character. Yeah, so. The Yuri Hell School is definitely a reflection of her feelings. The desert world... Yeah, I've seen a lot of people say that it reflects Papika. Cocona has the most conflict in that world. Papika has a lot too, though.
Mm-hmm. I mean, they both always have conflict of their own within these worlds. Like, the Eero episode is also kind of about, like, I mean, going together with this episode is very much about, like, Cocona figuring out what are people. Are people who I think they are? I don't know.
I also want to say, I want to talk about, like, my concepts of, like, what is happening. Mm-hmm. Again, I don't want to go... this show resists so fully going full game theory mode, because, like, I need to stop calling it that. I don't want to keep...
Literal.
Yeah, literal. But, you know, I can pick up hints of, like, what is happening.
Mm-hmm.
So, Hideka says that pure illusion is, like, built from the relationships between people.
Mm-hmm.
So it's sort of like some kind of psychic field or something, but it's specifically about relationships between people.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like the deep end, where they become Eero, it's Eero's relationship to Granny.
Right.
Like, that is the core sort of aspect of it. And also kind of Eero's relationship to herself.
Mm-hmm.
But, so, you need two people. Flip Flap has established that you need two people to enter pure illusion.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least Papika needs Cocona to enter pure illusion.
Right.
And obviously, like, and they also need each other to transform and everything like that. Their impedance levels need to be down. They need to, like, be on the same level.
Mm-hmm.
So you need a relationship to enter pure illusion.
Yeah.
So on the other side, with the twins and Yayaka, it's unclear what the deal with the twins is exactly.
Yeah.
But Yayaka makes a point that, like, they are not friends. Like, she is not friends with the twins.
Right.
She's about to, in the previous episode, she is about to get fucking stranded and they just leave without her. They don't give a shit about her, Yayaka. And with how different the portals look, that the boy twins summons and stuff, and how they talk about, like, they follow Cocona and Papika into pure illusion. It seems like whoever the non-flip-flap...
And we saw them, like, getting an alert once.
Yes, right.
As Cocona and Papika entered pure illusion.
Right. So it seems like whoever the Asclepius crew is, they are cheating the system. Like, they are sort of Remora-like, just sort of mooching off of Flip-Flap, and using using Papika and Cocona's relationship to enter pure illusion themselves, rather than forming their own equivalent of Cocona and Papika.
Right.
I don't know how that jives with the twins being them, because, like, I feel like they would have a relationship with each other. Like,
yeah,
they would have a, like, close relationship, not a romantic relationship, obviously, but, like, they would care about each other, I assume. So I don't know what the deal is there, if that just makes my theory bunk or what, but clearly there's some... Flip-Flap are the initiators of the pure illusion dives. Yeah. Whereas the robots and the pointy boys are using their work to get the shards. And I don't know what the fuck the shards are in any of these metaphors or whatever, so... They're just they're gems inside monsters. They're corrupted gems. Yeah. But yeah. Okay. That's my thing.
Alright.
Game theory. No.
Fuck you. Go to hell.
I need to think of it. Literal isn't funny enough.
Then don't. Just don't do it.
What?
That's whoa. That's all, folks. Woohoo. Don't be like a fucking clown about it.
Okay. You're a clown.
I'm saying you're better than that.
Okay.
Anyway.
I'm not.
Don't. How dare you say that you aren't better than MatPat?
I am better than MatPat. That's
okay,
fair.
Good.
That would be an insult to you as well, that you would
be friends.
Start a podcast and be friends with someone akin to Matt Pat.
Ugh.
To Matthew Patthew.
Anyway, thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening to us dunk on Matthew Patthew.
As always, you can find me at Lorena27 on Twitter.
And you can find me at Frylord Zarek on Twitter.
And you can find the show at late_school.
And
pick the music. I forgot. And thank you to Soichi Sakagami for use of the songs Yutori Adventure and Saikai no Yakusoku. Together.
We're.
What? We're?
We're? What is it?
We.
We. Okay. Go ahead.
Together.
We.
Flip.
Flap.